Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. We've got answers to questions that you probably have. And let's start with, are you feeling a little off, like a little wonky? Things are a little weird for you right now. Relationships, things going on. There might be a reason for that. Do you feel that maybe you're out of sorts as well? We can work on that for you. It all comes down to energy, and I've experienced it firsthand with her, and she's back with us. I want to list her credentials, but there's just so many of them. Spiritual life coach, Reiki practitioner, shamanic practitioner, registered nurse. For me, that speaks volumes because she gets the physiology of all of us. Got a lot to talk about today. Danielle Marie White is back with us. How you doing?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me back.
Great to have you here. And I know what we're going to talk about is going to be impactful for many. Before we get into anything, let's talk about the now. So, astrologically, by the way, astrology is a science for those who think it's woo-woo. Mm-hmm. There's some stuff going on. We have a Mercury retrograde beginning in just 5 days, right?
Yes.
Tell us. I mean, it's in my wheelhouse. I'm not the expert here, but how would you describe a Mercury retrograde?
A Mercury retrograde is where you're given time to go backwards, to reflect on steps you've taken, decisions you've made. And it gives you time to change those steps if you feel differently. Or it'll bring back an old lesson to resurface to see if you're going to pass the test and move forward, or if you're going to have to repeat that test in a way. But Mercury's not the only one going retrograde. Most of the planets are going retrograde this season. So it's going to be very interesting. And Pluto on November 19th just changed into the sign of Aquarius.
Does that represent what many have been saying for years? The age of Aquarius is getting closer?
Yes, it does. And it's the first time Pluto's moved in our whole lifetime. It moves, I believe, every 149 years.
Well, it's happened twice in my lifetime. I'm old. But anyway, thank you for talking about the reflection of Mercury retrograde, because I always look at it as the other side of it, where you got to watch your communication. It'll be taken potentially in the wrong way. Watch your technology. Don't start something new. Don't buy a car. Don't sign something. Try not to start a job. Nothing new in this period. I always look at that. I never think of the past, the reflection. And it makes perfect sense because Mercury retrograde is the planet Mercury appearing to spin backwards, and that would be the retrograde. Certainly look for people coming back into your life you haven't seen in a long time. It's just random. You'd be walking into a coffee shop. Hey, how you been? I haven't seen you in a long time. Things like that could surface, but reflection. So I want you to say that again, because I think that's so important. So you're going to be faced with things from your past and fill in the blank. Decide what to do. Give me that.
Yes, you're going to be given choices, paths per se. So it's giving you time to reflect on your previous choices and the paths you've chosen, and if they still feel correct for you or not.
I honestly, and not about me, but I got to say, I feel that. I feel things shifting, and now they're in front of me. And then making decisions, what's best for me. And it's like I just walked through a doorway. That makes sense. That was that over there. I'm walking through the doorway. Interesting. So now that we have that to the side, maybe that's explains why maybe some of us feel a little off, a little different, a little weird. You help people cleanse their energy, identify things that may be affecting them in terms of their chakras. And I had a session with you. How would you explain that session? It was a shamanic session, right?
Yes, it was.
What is that? I mean, I went through it. I got it, but I want you to explain.
A shamanic session brings in the spiritual realm, the unseen behind the veil. So you're connecting, especially for empaths, it's a whole lot easier to connect into that energy, into those fields. A lot of people think you hear psychic gifts, mediumship, or a medium, different things, but I like to think of them as our spiritual senses. They're our birthright, but we just don't know how to open those and utilize those.
Mm-hmm.
So you open up into the safe space, and then spirit comes in and assists. So I'm just the vessel. I'm just doing what God wants to be done, but you have free will. So everything has to be permissioned through your higher self, your soul, and you. That's why some things have to be vocalized. Some things will be sensed in the body that are unknown that will come up through the session to be able to be released.
So in our session, and I'd like you to describe some of the things you identify with me. I'm perfectly fine with it. One thing in particular, we don't need to go into detail, but it involved children. And you said something, and I was like, I don't know about what you're talking about. And then I thought about it, and then it was like, wow, there's no way you could have known one certain thing. And for me, not that I am not trusting of anything. I mean, this whole energy thing, I've experienced it, chakra balancing, energy clearing, all of that. But when you said that, I'm like, and you were pushing it. You were saying, no, that's what I'm seeing this, I don't know what it is, but when I thought about it, it was right. And it was very specific and very, went back quite a ways.
Spirit just wouldn't let it go.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't
it was
let it go
something
either.
that had to be opened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to share any of your experience?
I could bring it up and how about you address it? So
that sounds good.
Okay. So during the session, my third eye, do you recall what you encountered with that?
You had a seal on your third eye, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any experiences since removing that seal?
I haven't thought deeply about it, but I feel like maybe my intuition is elevated and I am seeing the future a little clearer where I never used to. I just, would go with my gut and just make a choice, but I'm seeing like in my mind a timeline of how things are going to go. And I trust it. I guess it's the best way. And I trust it. Yeah. And it's almost if I'm sitting here, I've got a lot, business ideas and things like that, personal stuff going on. And I see like, okay, that's that. I'm going to work on that over there. Like it all is kind of coming into place in a very organized fashion where I don't recall ever seeing that before. Clarity. I guess is the best way to describe clarity.
Yes, the veil's been removed
for
you. And if I recall correctly, in your session, it was also cleansed with holy water with your permission.
You did. Yep. I have no idea what that does, what that means, but you did it. I don't care what you're doing. Just, make things better.
Think of a purification.
Okay. Yeah.
Renewal.
And to back up even what you're saying, a couple of years ago, somebody who did some energy clearing on me said that your third eye is mucked up. Like there's something, and they tried to clear it to a certain point, but they weren't able to. So I don't know any other way. There are people walking around out there that are able to sense the future. That wasn't me, but that person told me that I make up for the third eye handicapped, if you will, by being able to have a keen sense of spotting BS. And I kind of agree with that. I don't know what it is. I can smell it a mile away. But now that you've cleared the third eye, I was like, okay, this should be cool. But it's all about being mindful. It's all about being mindful of it. Gotta be aware, gotta sense it, gotta feel it. It's wonderful because in my journey, and I want to share this with others, that if this was 5 years ago, things that are presenting themselves now, I would be balled up in the corner. I'm not going to lie. I'd be like, I can't believe what I got to do. This is going on. Now it's like, cool. All right. I don't worry about it. There's, sometimes a moment of what? And then it's like, okay, we're all good. But I feel even since we had our session just a few days ago, some other things have presented themselves in my life, but I feel a quiet calm. And there was what's going on? And then Okay. All right. No worries on that. No worries on that. Why? Because I see the future. Kind of freaky. Weird. I'm trying to think of other things that came up. Do you recall during our session?
I don't want to bring anything up. I would like you to present what you would like to speak about.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember back. And by the way, I'm going to go back because you text me some of the details. Um, but just so everybody is aware, and I'm just going, oh, here we go. I didn't have to do anything. I was laying on a couch and holding a phone, and we were just talking on a video. Okay, you cleanse my third eye with pine before the holy water. Pine trees. You say they're real important in my situation. Why?
Very important because everything is made up of atoms and molecules. And that's how when you hear people say we're all one, we are. We're all created from the same particles. If you think about a desk, it's a solid surface, but it's the way particles pull together to make that surface. And that's everything that's in our reality. So plants have immense healing powers and energies that they give. And when you're aware of it and you're open, you can connect to that energy and receive it. Receiving is the hardest part, the allowing.
Why are we afraid?
Because it's unknown.
Okay.
It's not what we were raised with. So stepping out of those teachings, those beliefs, just like anything new, it's a little uncomfortable at first because anything new is uncomfortable.
I'm looking down here at your notes and temple side of head, crystallized energy. I don't recall, again, I was like almost half asleep. I was just so relaxed, just chilling with you. I don't remember what that was. Do you?
I just remember it was crystallized energy. I don't remember specifically what it was. But actually, it was tied with your sacral and with all the pressure in your head. I do remember that and having to release that pressure. And if I remember correctly, you were given some guidance to receive massage because you were.
Yeah. And I didn't get there yet. I don't know what happened over the weekend. I had stuff going on. But thank you for that reminder. That's coming in the next 3 days. That's, the massage thing. Interestingly, I asked to cut cords, just being not connected to some people for whatever reason, not even just bad, just, you're moving on. Do you think that was effective in what you did there with the cord cutting?
Yes, very much so.
Is there any maintenance on my end?
No. The only maintenance I would recommend is to cleanse your energy. You can utilize sage to cleanse your energy in your auric field. So for people who aren't familiar with an auric field, you're familiar with your bubble. So your comfort bubble. And you can feel when somebody enters that space. That's your auric field. You're actually sensing through your energy already. You just don't realize it.
I'm still thinking about, you said something about my father when I was 8. But you didn't say any more. Maybe you that's all you got. Still working on that.
I can journey for you if you like, but I would like you to sit with it for a little while and just don't try to focus your mind on it. Go to your heart space, put all your attention in your heart, and then just let stuff bubble up like a cloud. Just let it form and see it and let it float away. You don't have to go into it and go on the storyline. Just let it float away. Let it release.
Interesting. What do you want people to know about this kind of work? And the before you answer that question, the shamanic session that we had, is that sort of encompassing different modalities? A little bit of chakra balancing, a little bit of Reiki, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Is that really kind of what it is?
There's no Reiki in the shamanic, but it is cleansing, balancing, and infusing new light energies into your chakras.
What do you want people to know? Like if somebody's skeptical, wonders if this stuff works, what would you like them to know?
I would say to allow yourself the experience and just give yourself permission.
Be open.
If you feel called to it, be open, schedule that appointment with whoever you're called to go to, because there's multiple healers in the world.
Yeah. It's I already feel a difference, and I'm glad I'm looking back at our notes, because now, again, I was just so relaxed. Like, it went in and sort of went out in my mind. But now that I'm thinking back to it, some of these different pieces, I want to piece them together and maybe get some clarity and but certainly the clarity of the third eye. I don't know. Danielle, I can't even explain it, but I see the future. I really do. Like, I see things in front of me, things I have to do on a timeline. I see a timeline, how this is going to go. It's very clear. Like, and a lot of times in life where, it's like you're in a tornado. It's spinning around. You're trying to figure things out. I got to do it. Now it's like methodically. Yep. That onto that. Got to do that. You have to, and it's very calm.
May I bring in something that may be a little more clarifying for you?
Please.
So you cut 3 cords during our session. When you cut a cord, what's happening is, if you think about a tornado or a hurricane and the vortex that flows, so our energies flow in a vortex form. You're connected above and you're connected below into the earth, but people's connections get broken. But then a cord, so as I explained with you, the easiest way to understand a cord is like the umbilical cord. So you're in your mother's womb, you're receiving everything from her. You're being built from her and from your father's DNA. That's how you can, what's the correct word? Absorb generational problems and issues.
Mm-hmm.
And they come down the line. But you're also absorbing the hormones, the stress hormones from the mother, everything that she's going through during that 9 months. It's all through you. So there's stuff that's generational that you don't even know is there. But back to the hurricane cyclone vortex. So when you cut the cord, so say this is one cord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you cut the cord, you're creating that space. You're allowing, and you're also forgiving when you're working. And that's what's creating the allowance in you. So your bonded energy here is free to be transmuted, to be cleansed, and then it turns around and goes back to the people it belongs with.
Wow. That I didn't know. Interesting. And once that cord is cut, and now there's a freer energy around, that allows other things to come into your life.
Correct. Because it's mucked up with other energies.
Yeah. Bring on the good stuff. I cut the cords. Fascinating. I've spoken with people that do what you do, experienced some of it, but never the way in which you do it. You are just chill, calming, interesting, clarity, insight. Well, like the session was wonderful. I almost fell asleep. I have to apologize. I was so like relaxed, but also I was just listening. I wanted to learn more. And the fact that you picked up certain things, and I trust that some of the other things that you said that I couldn't piece together yet, it's going to come clear.
I highly recommend getting out into nature.
I'm so overdue.
Get away from the electronics, clear your connection just with yourself.
If I could walk outside now and do that, I absolutely would. I'm not even kidding. And I would find, and it's so funny. I was hanging with a friend. Weird, because now pieces are coming back together. 3 hours before we did our session, I'll make this really quick. I was hanging with a friend. I recently reconnected with him over the summer. Our moms used to be friends. They have since passed on. I was walking into town one day, look up, see he and his brother. I'm like, well, hey, how you doing? He's younger than me, so I wasn't really that close to him back then. His brother is about the same age, but I connected with the younger brother. Now we hang together all the time. We were just at a restaurant, having a beer, and he was talking about pine trees.
I don't believe in any coincidence.
No. As a matter of fact, where we were, he's talking about, the leaves are all over. It's my neighbor's leaves. I got one tree in my yard. It's a pine tree just like that one. I look up, it's a huge pine tree. And then 3 hours later, you're telling me that I need to be around pine trees. Wow. Amazing. Danielle, how do we find you? How do we connect with you? What's the best way?
HelloFuture.com.
HelloFuture.com. Well, like I said, I cut the cords. HelloFuture.com. Thank you so much for the session, for being here, and all the insight. You're amazing. You really, really are. It's like super cool. Really appreciate it. Thank you. And
thank you for the honor.
Looking forward next time we get together. We are coming right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Woo! Let's get crazy!
In movies, when someone at a party jumps into a pool fully dressed, everyone cheers them on and jumps in too. Just so you know, in real life parties, nobody jumps in after you. You just look stupid.
Come on, jump in! Come on!
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.